Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into some science that is, and I'm not exaggerating here, truly revolutionary. It could completely change how we diagnose diseases. We're going to talk about how to read a secret history that your own body has been writing your entire life.
Just let that sink in for a second. What if a single drop of your blood could do more than just tell you if you're sick right now? What if it held a perfect, detailed diary of your immune system's entire story? Every bug you've ever fought off, every autoimmune flare-up, even how you reacted to a vaccine. I know, it sounds like something straight out of sci-fi, but some amazing new research says it's way closer than we think.
You know, if you've ever dealt with a complex illness, like an autoimmune disease, you know the drill. It can be this frustrating, endless journey of tests, specialist appointments. It's slow, and honestly, the results can be pretty confusing. This new idea, it flips that whole script. Instead of chasing down all these different clues, what if we could go right to the source, your immune system's own memory, and get a single, precise, historical record of everything?
So how in the world does your body write this diary? Well, the secret is all tucked away in your adaptive immune system.
Okay, so let's meet the authors of this diary, your B cells and your T cells. Now, on the surface of every single one of these cells, there are these unique little proteins called receptors. Think of them as the pen strokes in the diary. And here's the incredible part. Every time you get a new virus or an autoimmune condition pops up, your body just generates billions of these cells. Each one has a totally unique, randomly generated receptor, and it's basically searching for a perfect match to whatever the invader is. When one of those cells finds its match, boom, it multiplies like crazy and creates a lasting memory. So your entire health history, it's literally written in the language of these receptors. But of course, there's a catch, and it's a big one. This diary is written in a language that is just mind-bogglingly complex. We're talking billions, maybe even trillions of unique receptor words in just one person. For decades, reading this language was, well, impossible. The signal was completely buried in an overwhelming amount of noise.
That is, until a team of scientists developed a powerful new decoder ring, a way to finally make sense of this beautiful, complex language.
And this brings us to the hero of a brand new study in the journal Science. It's an AI framework, and it's called MAL-ID. That stands for Machine Learning for Immunological Diagnosis, and it's designed to do something humans never could: read the immune diary.
So how does this thing even work? Well, MAL-ID isn't just one AI. It's more like a team of 3 specialists. First up, you've got the statistician. This one looks at the big picture, the overall numbers, which types of immune cells are most common. Then you have the pattern matcher. This one is so cool. It scans millions of these receptor sequences from tons of different people and finds shared phrases, these little signatures that keep popping up in, say, everyone who's had COVID. And finally, you have the linguist, which uses a super powerful language model to understand the deep meaning of each individual receptor, each and every word in the diary.
Okay, so the theory sounds awesome, right? But does it actually work? Well, the researchers put MAL-ID through a pretty massive test. They fed it a ton of immune receptor data from almost 600 people. And they didn't make it easy. They included a huge range of conditions: viral infections like COVID and HIV, really complex autoimmune diseases like lupus and type 1 diabetes, and even just the body's normal response to a flu shot. The whole point was to see if MAL-ID could learn to tell all of these apart using nothing but the immune diary.
And the result? They got a score of 0.986. Now, that might just look like a random number, but to get why that is so stunning, you need to know what it means. It's something called an AUROC score. And in the world of medical diagnostics, a score like this is basically revolutionary.
So what is that number? Well, AUROC is basically a grade from 0 to 1 on how well a test can tell 2 groups apart, like sick versus healthy, or one disease versus another. A score of 0.5 is totally random. It's a coin flip. A score of 1.0 is a perfect test that is never ever wrong. So yeah, getting a 0.986, that is exceptionally close to perfect.
And right here, you can really see what a giant leap this is. The older methods, the ones that just looked for similar sequences, pretty much the pattern matcher working on its own, they topped out around 0.80, which is good, but it's not great. By combining all three of its AI experts, MalID reached a level of accuracy that is it's in a whole different league.
But okay, with any super powerful AI, there's always a critical question you have to ask. Can we actually trust it? Is it really reading the immune diary, or is it just picking up on something else entirely?
For instance, we all know that some diseases are more common at certain ages or in certain groups of people. So you have to wonder, is it possible MalID is just using those demographic clues to cheat, instead of doing the hard work of reading the immune sequences?
So the researchers put this to the test. They tried to predict diseases using only demographics, things like age, sex, and ancestry. The model scored a 0.85, not bad at all. But look what happens when you give it the actual immune data. The score skyrockets to that near-perfect 0.98. This is proof. It shows that while demographics play a small role, the real diagnostic firepower is absolutely coming from the B and T cell receptors. It's reading the diary.
And here's where it gets even cooler. The AI wasn't just accurate, it made sense. The authors wrote that the patterns MalID was finding, the parts of the immune diary it flagged as being important, all of it lined up perfectly with what human scientists have spent decades discovering, the hard way.
And here is the real aha moment. The researchers took a list of antibody sequences that were known to fight COVID-19. But here's the key. These were sequences that MalID had never seen before. They fed them to the AI and basically asked, what do you make of these? And wouldn't you know it, MalID gave these sequences a way higher COVID-19 score than just random ones. This is just fantastic proof that the model learned real biology, not just some weird statistical quirk.
So, what does this all mean for the future of medicine? Well, the implications they're just massive. And what's really interesting is that the model found that different diseases leave different kinds of fingerprints. Some, like COVID, leave a really strong signal in your B cells. Others, like type 1 diabetes, show up much more clearly in your T cells. But the biggest takeaway was this. For every single disease, the best, most accurate result came from combining both B cell and T cell data, from reading the entire immune diary. And that hints at the incredible possibility of a single test for many diseases at once.
So where is this all heading? I mean, we are talking about the potential for one single blood test that could screen for dozens of diseases all at the same time. This could mean getting a much earlier, more accurate diagnosis for devastating conditions like lupus. And on a bigger scale, it's a revolutionary new tool for just understanding the immune system itself. Imagine having this during the next pandemic.
Which brings us right back to where we started. Now look, the technology is still in its early days, for sure. But this research is such a powerful proof of concept. It points to a future where our own bodies hold all the answers, and with the help of AI, we might finally be able to read the incredible hidden story that's written in our blood. Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.